This video is made for adult collectors because you could probably give this to your child as a rattler toy.
Abracadabra, make it worse.
This was probably the leader everyone wanted back during Combiner Wars. This was so hard to find back in the day, and it wasn't because it wasn't stocked here. Going to Toys R Us, seeing these very briefly and then being gone all the time was insane. I managed to get my original one at a comic shop in Toronto and then found this new one from good old Comic Alley Toys, not sponsored. But this is Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, and he's pretty hollow, flimsy, and rickety, but still not that bad. Combiner Wars wasn't terrible. It had its issues, but some of the toys were pretty fun, but a lot of them were G1 because Scramble City is pretty much just only G1 with a couple of other cases. This line did do a couple of things to test the waters and break out of the G1 thing with like Armada Megatron, but this kind of struck a good balance between the two. This is an IDW version of Ultra Magnus. Proportion-wise, he leans a bit more towards G1 than the more stylized take of IDW, but he is just screaming the comic design, and I love it. That's the main reason why I got this. I have 86 Magnus and Masterpiece Magnus, shout out to Paragon Refugee for that one, but this one will be going with my other generation shelf I have, so that'll be like the Magnus for that crew. He looks cool. Really lacking in color definition, but what color is here is very nice. The blue does do that weird swirly plastic thing, and the white has started yellowing a tad here. This was in its box when I got it, so it's probably just been baking in the plastic window for ages. I really like the shaping of the chest, the way it did like the angles and the little points that the IDW design has, and the red paint with the silver of the truck peeking through underneath looks cool, and then the cool just kind of stops. He is also very, very hollow feeling. Normally I don't care much about that, but he weighs almost a full 200 grams less than the 86 one, and it is very noticeable. Granted, the 86 one is more involved and is like a lot more plastic, paint, and springs and shit in it, but it's so strange to me how little this weighs, even compared to like Power of the Prime's Leader Optimus. And looking at it from the back, yes, I know who displays their toys from behind, but it's just all this. It's pretty ugly. But the toy isn't all doom and gloom. There is still a lot more aspects about it that I like, such as the inclusion of Minimus. This is, spoiler alert, Ultra Magnus. He is actually a dude in IDW called Minimus Ambus. I won't get way too much into it, but I love the inclusion of this little dude. And he turns into a tiny little car, but mine can't do that without splitting in half all the time because they didn't pin this. It's just a friction peg. It's very annoying, but you do get a little hover car. But Minimus can also sit in the chest of Magnus and hide inside it, and it also fills out the hollow section of the neck here. I like the way that works. He comes with his missile pods and his guns that he can't hold the guns to save his life. They just constantly fall out. There are no tabs, they just rely on the grip of the hands, and because the hands aren't the same shape as the handle of the guns, it doesn't work. They can combine though to make a massive hammer, and that's very cool. But like, yeah, I prefer the 86 one way more. Yes, it's more expensive, but there's a reason for that, and that's why it's so nice to me. There was an upgrade kit for this dude that gave him a fully transforming inner white robot, and me saying that is going to help me see which commenters don't actually watch the video before commenting, because I guarantee you someone's going to say, they made an upgrade kit. I know, I just mentioned it.
So his posing is strange and weird, and he likes to fall backwards. Like he's always leaning backwards just because of how his ankles are done. And his ratchets don't feel the nicest. They're those plasticky ratchets. They're not the nice springy clicky ones. They're more like this. The ones here. So they're kind of just all right. He's not terrible at posing, but like this has more posing than this. So yeah, so for starters, the head can only rotate about that far either way due to the strut it's on for the whole Minimus Ambus thing. You have shoulder rotation on a very, very soft detent. You have shoulder pads can move out, ratcheted shoulders that go out that far. If you take the cannons off, he can do a full T-pose. He can hit the kingdom. You do have bicep rotation, 90-degree elbow bend. The fingers can open and close, but there's nothing at the wrists. Nothing at the waist either due to how all of this transforms, which is fine. Hips go forward that far. Oops. That's actually as far as they go back. They can go out that far. You have a thigh rotation. You have a single jointed knee. And then the ankles can go down and up. There's no ankle pivot, and this joint right here, that pin, very, very loose. So you stand him up and he wants to like lean. There we go. But now he's like up. So you can get him to stay, but he's leaning too far forward. And if you get him standing up straight, he'll lean back a bit. Very annoying, especially when you get him into a pose, because then he'll just ball.
So that's Magnus here. He feels and sounds hollow when you move him, and the plastic and the paint aren't quite up to snuff for being the first proper G1 Magnus since the 80s, but it wasn't that bad. I actually still enjoy this thing. Now truck time.
So his transformation is pretty much your traditional Magnus with a couple extra little flips in it, it's nice. I actually enjoy transforming this back and forth. So to start with, we're going to remove the missiles, and then we are going to remove Minimus. Now we'll fold the head in, and then fold these sections over and close that lid. Bring this out, rotate it, and then peg it in back here. And that's the cab pretty much done. So the arms, you want to shove them down like that, and then bring these sections forward to cover up the hands, and then just sort of bring them up and forward, and there we go. Bring this section down. Want to open this flap up at the back. Come on, there we go. Bring this section down, and it will tab in, and then fold the foot in, and that's your leg. So you bring this down, it will tab in, fold in the foot. Now you want to fold it up at the hip, and then clip the chest plate into the legs. So bring it up, clip the chest plate into the legs, peg the feet together, bring this section in and close it. Bring these up, rotate these around, peg it together at the bottom, then at the top, bring it all the way down. It will peg into the sides here. Then you bring this up, extend the truck, peg on les missiles, there and there. And there you have, just bring this down. There you have Ultra Magnus's truck. But this truck is nice. I do quite like it. And then Minimus, this just keeps coming off because it's a friction peg. And I have to use this weird thing, metal thing here, to like get this section out, flip it out, then peg it back in, then fold up the legs, then clip this on. And I really wish this had a place to go on Magnus other than just, there. But as far as I know, and from what I remember, this doesn't have an official place to store. Like it doesn't go here and clip in. It doesn't go here. It just sort of sits.
Like I said, I wish Minimus could store in the cab, but that is a pretty good truck mode. Feel aside, it does what it needs to, and it does it well. It can hold cars, do the ramp thing, and rotates on the trailer hitch. It hits all the Magnus parts that I want it to, and it does it very well. He's also a lot smaller than the 86 one, though. Like, I wasn't expecting that. They are the same size in robot mode, and I was expecting the alt modes to be the same, but 86 just kind of grows longer. But the truck on this is nice. The cab isn't removable unless you unscrew the bottom and separate it. The only thing I don't like is the white. Even when it isn't yellowing, it looks a bit craggly, but then the 86 one has like white mismatch between the palm and the ABS, so each one kind of lacks in the white aspect. But is it worth getting? I mean, we have a better Magnus now, but seeing as this one's shelf life is over and the Combiner Wars one should be cheaper, I would say it's a better alternative. But I would say, I use the word would, if he didn't cost this much on the aftermarket, at a con, that would be your best bet to get this guy for a good price. What eBay is asking is way too much. Would I actually recommend it though? Maybe. I know some people prefer the IDW design, and outside of Iron Factory, this is like the only IDW Magnus out there. So if that's something you're looking for, then yeah, I would say get it. But it's costly. But that's my look at Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. This script, for some reason, took me ages to read. It's probably because my allergies are so bad. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.